Right, the Sports Minister has been facing questions from MPs today on the current state of women's sport and the future of women and girls' participation. Stuart Andrew has also revealed the Football Governance Bill, which includes the new football regulator, will be brought forward to Parliament shortly. Let's get more. We can go live to our senior reporter, Geraint Hughes, who is at Westminster for us. So, Geraint, just how close are we to seeing this new governance bill put before MPs?
Well, according to the Sports Minister, speaking directly to a question from the chair of a select committee in Parliament, 2 weeks until the Football Governance Bill will become law. And that means there will officially be an independent regulator for men's football. That will become law. So 2 weeks, according to Stuart Andrew. The reason he was asked this question directly, it came from the chair of this select committee, asking about, you may recall just before Christmas, there appeared to be close to coming to an agreement between the Premier League and the EFL about a financial distribution agreement between the two. It didn't happen just before Christmas. So a question was being asked about that because the issue has been going on and vexing MPs and government for quite a long time, not just months but years. And one of the proposals of the football regulator, when it comes into law, it will have the power to intervene. So they're asking on an update on that agreement, or whether it was close, why it didn't happen before Christmas between the Premier League and the EFL, and also about when the governance bill will become law.
Isn't it about time you really started to crack the whip with the Premier League and got them to the table in earnest?
In fairness to you, we've had really significant meetings, and both at official level, and both the Secretary of State and I have
They're
met.
ignoring you.
Well, and that's why we're putting in the provision of the backstop, because, you know, we are not prepared. We want to send a very clear message that if football doesn't sort this out, the regulator will have the powers to do that. I agree with you. I want to see them come to a deal, and we are going to continue to make that point to them. It is incredibly important to us, but that's why we were very clear we were going to factor this into the powers of the independent regulator, so that should we have this constant stalemate, there will be another course to sort the issue out.
We still haven't got this legislation coming down the track. When are we likely to see this?
I keep using these words soon. I genuinely hope within the next couple of weeks we will be able to present the bill to Parliament. That is my ambition.
We'll all look forward to that.
So, Geraint, the premise of this hearing today was to discuss the future of women's sport. One of the recommendations of the Carney Review was the scrapping of that 3 p.m. blackout to promote the women's game. What was the response to that?
Yes, the Carney Review, you may recall, was a report put together under the chair of Karen Carney, the former England international, named the Carney Review after her, of course. But one of many recommendations, with 10 key recommendations in all about growing and making the game better for girls and women at elite and coming down the levels as well. One of the recommendations was about how to get sort of greater exposure for the WSL, for the Championship, etc. as well. And one of the suggestions was playing on a Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. At the moment, under existing law, no football match can be televised at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. However, again, under questioning from the Select Committee today, this is a response from the Sports Minister, Stuart Andrew, about the proposal for women's football matches to be broadcast on television in that Saturday 3 p.m. afternoon slot.
The 3 p.m. slot on a Saturday is the best slot for televising women's sport. What's the department's view?
We support that.
Wow, a decision. Oh.
Well, I do. I mean, look, it's easy to say that, you know, as a sort of one-word answer. I think it is important that we find a slot for women's football, because that will bring about and maximise the opportunities for media rights and funding and sponsorship. Now, what slot that is obviously something that's really important. I understand that there are concerns about impact on the men's game, but if that isn't going to be the slot, then I think there has to be some questions asked, and that's what we will look at in the implementation group, about how the women's game then gets compensated. But these are going to be key points for us to look at.
Well, MPs on the Select Committee, the CMS, Culture, Media, Sport Select Committee, questioned Stuart Andrew, the Sports Minister, for about an hour and a quarter earlier today. We've heard a couple of the news lines that came out of it, but the whole point of their evidence session today was about women's sport. It was a third hearing about that. A number of issues are discussed around safeguarding within girls and women's sport. We've heard of some of the scandals that rock British Gymnastics, for example, about the hope that may never happen again, and the plans are being put in place in then, and also about participation levels as well. And much was said, not just from Stuart Andrew, but some other people giving witnesses today as well, about the disparity between boys and girls school sport, about how sometimes it's just not an unwelcoming environment for girls, and that's why we're seeing a drop-off of school sport. And also given the Lionesses, remember their letter to government about trying to increase participation, make it more accessible for girls, footballing girls in school sport as well. An update on that as well. And again, pleas from many to try and work harder to just make sport more accessible for girls at that school stage. It's something that stays with them for life, and they don't drop out of it, and it becomes sort of maybe the lanyard for boys rather than girls.
OK, Geraint, thank you very much for now.